Wall Street Memes Casino,
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFLTV. What's the look, Gareth? What's going on?
It's the Southend Leon Sea paddleboard look. I've just been on the sea for a couple of hours this afternoon. Who dares wins, you know that. And I had an indeed moment. It was worth going out. Just I came off, it started to rain. So first couple of sea sessions of the season. And it's good timing because I've still got my cap on, shades on, and like you, no, not like you actually, I haven't had my hair shorn, but it does look very good. Good to see you. Good to see that you visit the barber every now and again. You know, nice trim up, I can see.
I'm at the barber's twice a week, Gareth.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know you've got a second occupation. And how many clients do you have when you're there twice a week?
Good banter. Brisk banter, Gareth.
Brisk. It was brisk. It was brisk on the sea today. It was brisk.
I bet it was. Okay, so, yeah, there has been a lot kind of going on over the weekend.
So much. What a time, hey? What a time this is. What a time. It's so thrilling at the moment.
Let's start with Sunday's announcement, which we've been waiting for quite some time, regarding the weight categories, which we now know, which will feature on June the 1st. Frank Warren has picked heavyweight and middleweight. Eddie Hearn has picked light heavyweight and featherweight. His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh has picked heavyweight. So we've got two heavyweight matchups in this 5v5. There's so many little ins and outs here that make it very interesting. The fact that they are allowed to go out for one of these fights and secure whoever, who's not in contract, I'm assuming. We don't know the exact lineup, and we won't know the exact lineup, but there's been a lot of speculation about what this lineup will be. How accurate do you think these reports are, Gareth?
Whose reports do you mean? Just in general?
In general, there's obviously a lot of talk about potentially Hrgović and Dubois and Wilder and Zhang being the two heavyweight fights. Let's start with them.
Well, I mean, conjecture's conjecture. We don't really know. I believe they're going to announce this in 2 or 3 weeks' time. I think the ink is still wet on a lot of the contracts. It's possible Zhang and Wilder, if that happens, is a great fight. Hrgović and Dubois is a great fight. I mean, if I was to pick, what I've done so far is done my dreamscape of what I'd like to see. I mean, I'd love to see. I mean, if you look at the order, obviously. By the way, you haven't even mentioned at the top of that card is the undisputed light heavyweight fight between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev, which, had it not been for His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, would that fight be happening now like this so quickly? I don't think so. He's made that happen. He said himself he wanted to see it. So when you think that the 5 versus 5 leads into that, we're in candy store land at the moment. We've come out of school, and Mum and Dad have said, "Go on, help yourself, candy store land, have whatever you want," and that never happens, but it's happening right now. So I'm not disappointed that they've picked two heavyweight fights. It's completely understandable that HE has gone for a heavyweight fight. He loves the heavyweight division, as you know. He's heavily invested in it over the last 4 or 5 events. Zhang is already signed by Frank Warren. So is Parker. So someone would have to leave a stable for that to happen if they have their second fight. Zhang and Wilder, great fight, a lot of fun. Wilder and anyone right now, frankly, but especially a big puncher, because that's an exciting fight. So if that's that one, Frank Warren, obviously it's been teased out there that it could be a Hrgović and Dubois fight. I genuinely don't know. but it's a great fight if that happens. Obviously, you've got the relationship that Hrgovic has had with Eddie Hearn and Frank. And Frank's got 7 of the top 10 in the world anyway, 7 of the top 12 in the world. If you go down the list from Fury, Parker, Zhang, Dubois, Joyce, Atalma, I mean, it's incredible. His stable is just off the charts. So if that happens, it will be brilliant. But I wouldn't mind seeing Parker Kabayel. I wouldn't mind seeing Parker in another fight. I mean, he's been through a hard fight right now, but maybe he waits a little bit. And then my dream fights for the other 3, light heavyweight, I'd like to see Anthony Yarde and Craig Richards, because both fit with Hearn and Warren. Whether they get that fight on, I don't know. Obviously, there's been a bit of a hurry up from Boxer and Ben Shalom to get. We've heard in the last 48 hours that they're trying to finalise that one. Boatsi and Yarde, if that happens, again, bingo, tic-tac-toe in the UK. Great event. Middleweight, I think the fight to be made, and I think the fight everyone would love to see, is Hamza Shiraz, Amo Williams. Unbelievable fight that for both guys. And then Ray Ford, who looked brilliant the other day to win the world title, and Nick Ball, who looked brilliant the last time we were in Saudi. That's a cracker. I mean, what a card. 6 main events. 6 main events on one card. And by the way, we've infused about it the other day. 2 weeks before that, or 4 weeks before that, we're going on this campervan tour. In fact, someone contacted me after listening to our last interview and said, honestly, I wanted to come into the conversation in a bar with you two chatting. I think it was the campervan tour of America. Obviously, Taylor and Catterall is off now, but I think he liked the idea of getting in the campervan with us and driving across America, doing Haney and Garcia, and then traveling around and doing all the fights. I mean, what a month we've got. 2 weeks before that, we've got the undisputed heavyweight title between Fury and Usyk. And I'm hearing the card that's coming together for that is extraordinary. Can I be any happier with our sport right now? Let's name our top 16 in the world in the heavyweight division right now. Let's do it, Kugan. And for the second week in a row, I'm interviewing you.
Just hold your horses a sec, Gareth, right? Just hold your horses a second. Let's just talk about a couple of issues here. So if there is a potential Wilder and Zhang, well, obviously Zhang would be under the Queensbury side, which means
signed by Frank, yeah.
Which would mean that Wilder would have to, in some capacity, and Shelley Finkel would have to work with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn to a certain degree. I mean, obviously, if that's how it is, that's how it will be. But there's no love lost there between Hearn and Wilder.
Listen, we're in the new age, my brother. This is no longer the age of ego and resentment. This is the time when all the fights are being made. Wilder needs to get back into the mix. He needs to redress what happened to him against Joseph Parker on December the 23rd. Eddie Hearn hasn't called Shelley Finkel Shirley Winkle for a very long time now, and actually has been public about regretting it. Not part of this series. There's no issue. This is the time. Stop trying to create a YouTube tabloid chasm between promoters and managers and fighters. They want to get the fights done. Just behave yourself, yeah? Behave yourself. Come paddleboarding with me. Feel the aeons from the sea. Feel the vibe, because the vibe is, let's get them fights made. Look, one way or another, I know that it's... Look, Zhang, I think, is the favourite against Wilder, believe it or not, given recent history. That favours Frank Warren. That's a 2-pointer for me. But Eddie Hearn ain't going to mind having a relationship with Deontay Wilder, because that's going to help with Anthony Joshua down the line. So You know, hold your horses there, baby. Hold your horses there with your arched dome behind you.
I wasn't talking. I reckon Eddie Hearn would work with Wilder. I was talking about the
Yeah.
reverse of that. But obviously, listen, in this kind of situation, I suppose the situation will be what it is. If Wilder has to be on Team Matchroom for this and work alongside them, so be it.
Look, are you saying because of the finances that Eddie Hearn's going to take a portion as his manager? Is that what your issue
No,
is?
that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying to you, there's been a long, long history over the spate of a few years of probably Team Wilder not being Eddie Hearn's biggest fans, but could end up fighting on a matchroom side. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, how long have they both been? Well, Eddie's been in the sport 10 years now as a promoter.
Longer.
Is it longer now? Is it 10? Is it longer than 10?
Yeah, a lot longer.
It's not that much longer. No, maybe it is. Maybe it's 14 years, something like that, actually. But Frank's been in 46 years. And when you think that they hadn't sat in a room together or around a table together before, and, you know, George Warren's got them together and His Excellency's got them together, and you can see the respect they have for each other. You can see it now, because they felt each other's energy, and there's something of a mutual respect and admiration there. And you've got to start looking at this is a very special time in the sports, and actually seeing it from above, seeing it from a bigger picture all the time, because there's a bigger picture going on, and people are cooperating, they are working together. And the amazing irony is Frank and Eddie are against each other in this, but they're also cooperating. Great rivalry, but they're in competition, and they're in competition in an open environment where there's going to be a winner and a loser, not just the boxers, but the promoters, with this point scoring system. And we may have a chapter 2. So I think it's amazing, absolutely brilliant.
In the video that we saw with the announcement of these weight classes, we saw the intention from HE there to stage something at Wembley, possibly in September. I mean, God knows what that could be. I mean, it could be literally anything. We know kind of the stakes are high, or the bar, how high the bars have been set by HE in Saudi Arabia. So that could be some mega event at Wembley.
I found myself quite fantasizing about that, where if Fury beats Usyk, then you get Fury and Joshua at Wembley with obviously that pits both promoters together. I don't know what they're planning, but in order to get 100,000 people to Wembley, and none of these guys involved, Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, His Excellency, their team, the Saudi Arabians, they don't do things by halves, as we both know now, because we've been around it for over a year or even longer in some senses. But I think it's a huge statement. I think it's a huge statement being made that not only is Saudi Arabia becoming a cultural and sporting superpower, but there's an appreciation being given back. That statement from him to say, Frank and Eddie, I'm talking with them about putting a big event at Wembley. That's a big statement to say, I know it isn't easy for all of you to be able to afford to travel to Saudi, and but I'm going to put an event on there. Oh my God, it is such an enormous statement, you know, and it really ought to silence the naysayers, who maybe they're always naysayers, the naysayers. Maybe that is just the way they are, half glass full. But I think it's an amazing project and prospect for September. I don't know who it's going to be, but it'll be big.
I think we've got a lot more to worry about before even thinking about September. So, Gareth, I do want to just revert back to the weekend. Saw a great performance and knockout from Dalton Smith in Sheffield, bringing back those Sheffield nights. Missed those Sheffield nights, actually. But, I mean, the talking point was an expectant, I suppose, quite a brutal and direct message from not only Dalton Smith but obviously Eddie Hearn as well to Adam Azim, Boxer, and Ben Shalom. What did you make of, first of all, Dalton's performance, and also secondly the aftermath in that, where they were going for kind of Boxer and Ben Shalom there?
Yeah, I mean, to answer the second question first, they were putting the knife in, but you know, the bottom line is Adam Azim, respectfully, I mean this, he's not got his man strength yet. He's still developing, he's still at European level, and he's going to need a little bit of time. Dalton Smith, on the other hand, he's now got his man strength. It was a massive statement, especially when you think Jose Zepeda has been in 3 times in World Championship fights at lightweight and 10 stone. Dalton, for me, is ready to step up to, if it isn't the big time with the Devin Haney's and the Keyshawn Davises and the Shakur Stevensons and all those guys, Ryan Garcia, all up at 140-ish. And what a prospect for the young man to be able to aim towards. And he's got his man strength. I think he's ready for a Regis Prograis or someone like that. A slight step up, because he proved against Zepeda, you know, it was obviously slightly over the hill, but is not at the peak of his powers, certainly, that he has the wherewithal to compete at world level. And now it will be a world title fight within a year, I think. 3 fights, I think we'll see him competing at world level. And also, given the draw that Sheffield has, that gym, the Resonance, the Steel City gym now has, Chantel Cameron in there, the 2 Edwards brothers, Eddie Hearn behind it all, Grant Smith, his father, very respected as a trainer. There's the prospect of potentially bringing one of those big names I mentioned to the UK to fight, which I think is great for all of us. Again, top, middle, and bottom. We just need to start investing in the bottom a little bit more. And I'm going to draw you to the APPG. I've said it to everyone else I've spoken to in the last couple of weeks, Cougs. There's no funding on government sports strategy for the 5,000 coaches who teach and change and put social capital into 150,000 young people in grassroots boxing clubs. You know, 5,000 of them, 150,000 participants, 1,055 clubs. They really do need government sports strategy funding, because there's zero at the moment. And well done, Imran Hussein, MP for Bradford East, and the other 25 MPs or 25 MPs and members of the Lords who are backing this to get it onto the next government sports strategy. So we've got development going on all the time. What's happened in the last 8 months is there's been a real shake-up, and I think it's a massive catalyst for change in our sport. And we just need to make sure that we grow the grassroots all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that kind of, it comes up every now and again, and you're talking about it now, and it has been spoken about in the past, but it's not spoken about and acted on consistently enough.
Absolutely right, because the Anthony Joshuas, the Tyson Furys, the Alexander Usyks, all these guys started in a community where someone took them to a gym, and notably, generally, the first few years of those people's lives in a boxing gym, where they learn about whether it's getting away from knife crime or gangs or depression or fitness, getting their fitness levels up, or being more socially able. The social capital, as Dr. Deborah Jump, a criminologist, puts it, who's doing the research reports for the APPG in Westminster, that social capital that is gained for all those young people. You know, you look at the role model that we spoke about him earlier, Anthony Yard, what a role model that guy is. Joshua Boatsi, what a role model. And those guys are second tier boxers in the world in terms of global stars. You've got your Joshuas, your Furys, your Usyks, who are No, they're global stars. Then you've got your national stars
Mm.
in Yard and Blatzy and those other guys, and they get there for a reason, which is yes, that's instilled in them very often by their parents and their families. But we always talk about the gym as your second family. So it's a serious point, you know, and maybe it's good to end on a serious point because I know you've got to shoot off and go and live the Playboy lifestyle that you have.
I'm going to a parents' evening, Gareth.
Well, that's what I mean. Well, that's it. That's what a proper Playboy does.
So weirdo. Right, Gareth, just a quick little roundup of some other stuff. It's in that Lawrence Okolie is now linked up with Joe Gallagher. Interesting move?
Yeah. Joe's a great trainer. He's very good been good for so many fighters. Lawrence needs some big fights. Needs to get back on the horse. You know, is it his first fight since? Will it be his first fight since Chris Billum-Smith?
Has he fought since? I don't think he has.
I don't think he has. I don't know. And that was last summer, or was that the summer before? It's certainly a while. I think it was. Maybe it's a year ago, nearly. Yeah. I remember the balmy night and the Bournemouth football ground. Anyway, I can't remember what it's called, the ground, but it was a balmy night there. And
is it the Vitality?
The Vitality Stadium, yeah.
Fabio Wardley and Fraser Clark battle it out on Sunday, Bank Holiday Sunday, on the Sky Show. The card's very good on that as well. It's got Congo and Marku on that card as well. Yeah, who are you picking in that between Wardley and Clark?
I mean, it's hard not to see Wardley as the favourite because of what he's come through in the Nathan Gorman fight and the David Adelaide fight, notably. Fraser hasn't shown us what he's capable of yet as a professional. He's only 8 fights in, I think it is 6 or 8, probably 8. Big night for him but Fabio Wardley's shown that he can come through the trenches and that, you know, he's just a dangerous fighter and he knows how to fight. He knows how to fight when the chips are down. So I'm favouring him, but I'd love to see something special out of Fraser. Who's got to box him really, but Wardley may not let him. So it's a terrific fight. It's on Talk Sport Live as well, by the way. I'm on the broadcast. Myself, Adam Smith, Spencer Oliver, and John Rawling. About 200 years between the. In fact, there is probably about 200 years of experience in common. And yeah, probably. Yeah, actually, it is. It's probably about 250 years of experience on the commentary team.
Wow.
Pretty good, really. But yeah, looking forward to that. And also, I think Congo's fought a higher level of opponent than Marku, but Marku's relentless and aggressive and believes in himself. You know, Congo under Ben Davison and Lee Wiley will be very interesting. It's going to be a good night. And I hear they've opened the hall up for more seats. So, you know, hopefully there's 10,000 in there and we have a great night. Easter Sunday.
Absolutely. Right, Gareth, thank you very much for your time.
Go on then, go and get those reports and do the fatherly thing. Have a good night at it.
Thank you very much, Gareth, and we'll definitely catch up at some point again this week. I'll see you around the fight week, I'm sure. Gareth Davies, thank you very much, and God bless.
KUGAN CASSIUS, you are welcome.
Wall Street Memes Casino
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.